The stage is set. Two powerful teams stand face to face, Jamuhuri High School and Machaku School, in a battle of intellect and resilience that will shape the path to the championships. Only one will move closer to the crown. But first, we take a look at their journey to the nationals. On stage today is Machaku School, a beacon of brilliance, discipline, and determination. At the regionals, they stepped onto the stage ready to prove their voice belongs among Kenya's finest. From the very first knockout, they showed their mettle. Point after point, round after round, they silenced doubters and outshined rivals. Every victory earned with passion and sharpened by courage carried them from the knockouts to the semis and finally to the finals. The competition grew tougher, and so did Machaku School. With fire in their words and unity in their strategy, they fought their way through. Their triumph secured a place on the grand stage, the nationals. Their journey is proof that greatness is not only in the title, but in the courage to stand, speak, and inspire. Machaku School, true giants of the national debate stage. Next is Jamuhuri High School, a powerhouse of talent, resilience, and determination. At the regionals, they stepped forward with one mission: to rise above every challenge and claim their place among Kenya's finest. From the very first knockout, Jamuhuri showed their brilliance. Round after round, their arguments cut deep. Their delivery commanded respect, and their teamwork left no doubt. They were here to conquer. Jamuhuri High School secured their ticket to the nationals. Their journey is proof that champions are not just born, they are made. Through grit, wit, and determination, Jamuhuri High School, the pride of the national debate stage.
Turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor all we need is insurance.
We regret to inform you that your claim cannot be processed due to clause 14B of subsection 9A as amended in 2011.
So my question is your problem the investigation or is your problem outreach to the people? To speak about policies, premiums, or paperwork, we're here to speak about Wanchiku, Kiarie, Mutiso, Mama Mboga. Insurance companies have one job: to educate and protect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the quarterfinals round here at the National Season 4 with the debate circle in the motion under dissection. Weeds insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify insurance for the common mwananchi. I'll read the motion again. Insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify insurance for the common mwananchi. Proposing and opposing this motion, the two teams privileged to meet us is Machaku School and Jamuhuri High School. All the best to both teams on stage. I'll be your host for today, Hamza Hussein.
Honestly speaking, who remembers reading algebra back in Form 3? Well, insurance in Kenya is exactly like it. They give it to us, but we don't quite really understand what it is. Now, judges, fellow debaters, and the audience, before you is Sharia from the Machakos School, proposing the motion that says insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify insurance for the common mwananchi. Now, before team opposition starts shadowboxing everyone with vague ideas, here's what we actually mean. Insurance is a legal agreement between two parties in which the insurer promises to compensate the insured for financial losses arising from specified risks in exchange for premiums paid. Examples are CIC Bima, APA Insurance, and Old Mutual. This is according to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, Kenya. Demystifying is making a difficult subject clearer or easier to understand, while a common mwananchi is the one juggling school fees, rent, and border fare while still being told to pay monthly for something called risk pooling, whatever it is. That's you, me, and you judges. Now, why do we propose this motion? Well, because the average Kenyan does not understand what they're signing up for. Claims are denied over small print that no one explains. Premiums are being paid faithfully and still zero payouts. The only thing more mysterious than an insurance claim is how team opposition plans to defend this circus. Now hear this. In Kenya, insurance penetration is a shocking 2.3% as of 2023. This is according to a report by the Association of Kenya Insurance. And to make matters worse, this is This is the lowest insurance penetration in Africa. And what's insurance penetration? This is the percentage of GDP spent on insurance. It shows how developed or widespread the insurance industry is in a country. So basically, in Kenya, for every 100 people, only 2 or 3 people have insurance of any kind. The 97, I do not know. If insurance was actually clear, Kenyans would be buying it and not avoiding it like a pyramid scheme. Case study, the government launched crop insurance for farmers to protect them against drought. But in 2022, a study in Machakos by the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Department showed that over 60% of farmers enrolled did not know what they were actually insured for. I mean, some thought it was a county WhatsApp group contribution. You gave them contracts written in font 8, point suffering. Now, team opposition, is insurance really clear? I mean, I know you even need a glossary to understand your own arguments. In Nairobi, you get insurance booths in malls. In Turkana, you're lucky if you get an M-Pesa connection, let alone CIC, Bima. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya insurance companies love to show off. Influencer partnerships, shiny billboards in malls, even golf tournaments in Karen. But take a step away from Nairobi's upper hill. Go to Ukambani, Turkana, or Homa Bay and ask the average mwananchi what insurance is. They look you dead in the eye and ask you, hiyo sili ya kuibia watu pesa? Case study, the bridge scam scandal 2020. One of Kenya's biggest insurance was rocked by a boardroom war over mismanagement of client funds running into billions. Instead of demystifying insurance, Britam gave Wananchi a masterclass on how to complicate trust. Britam board split over 7 billion in property deal. This is according to Business Daily Africa 2020. Today, what we've laid out is not just a case, but a cry from millions of Kenya paying for protection, but only receiving confusion. Thank you.
Starting in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Another Sunday, another sermon. My name is Bishop William Benjamin, aka Kijana Mtukufu, and today's sermon reads, insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify for the common mwananchi. I am from the team opposition. Now, onto the definitions. What is the meaning of these insurance companies? Now, these are regulated Kenyan insurers, both life and general, and they include companies of insurance such as All Mutual, Aki, UAP, IRA. Now, what is the meaning of failed to demystify? Persistently misunderstood, using of opaque language, unaffordable to the average Kenyan. Now, common mwananchi. The common mwananchi is me, you, and the rest. Now, what is our stand as team opposition? We really believe that we argue insurance companies in Kenya have not failed, ladies and gentlemen. While challenges remain, insurance and regulators companies for the past 3 to 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, they have made efforts such as the one that he's claiming that, these insurance companies, people from marginalized areas, they do not reach. But ladies and gentlemen, through the debate circle, we have sponsors such as KDIC, we have sponsors such as Aki, who have already, ladies and gentlemen, traveled to these regions, different regions, through the debate circle to educate them more about insurance. What don't you understand about insurance, yet you define insurance? Now, ladies and gentlemen, what are the current problems that we are facing here? Now, we talk about beliefs in divine protection. Why you find that most people in Kenya are reactive, not proactive. By this we mean that reactive, not proactive. Where you want to argue, you want to deal with a case after a crisis happens. You want to call for harambe meetings after a crisis happened. Aki, mtoto wangu has failed. He has been crushed by a motorbike. So what do? Guy, changieni. Instead of taking insurance, ladies and gentlemen, if you had that insurance, you will have been able to pay for that medical care. So the issue that we are saying, the issue is not that insurance companies are failed. The issue is that the mindset that people have, the beliefs and divine power that people have. Ladies and gentlemen, another problem that we want to address a problem that we call money mindset and uncertainty. Many people in Kenya believe it's all about mentality, ladies and gentlemen. Many people believe, especially the youth, I cannot take a life insurance. Why should I take a life insurance and yet I believe that I'm going to live long? Yet I believe we have the YOLO, which stands for you only live once. So this is the mindset that people have. It's not that the insurance companies have failed. Right now, currently, the insurance companies are here to educate you more. They have not failed. Now, what is our solution as team opposition? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you industrial and regulatory initiatives This is our solution, where we tell you what has been done by the insurance companies, e.g. grassroots and media campaigns. As I'm finishing, IRA Bima Bora, ladies and gentlemen, IRA Bima Bora and Bima Mashinani. They have gone from county to county, Makueni, Meru, all the places, to ensure that, ladies and gentlemen, you have that financial literacy so that you can be able to combat with this problem. Turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor, all we need is insurance. Hallelujah. Amen. And with that, I rest my case. May God protect you and God give you insurance. Hallelujah.
Ladies and gentlemen, insurance is like dating in Nairobi. Confusing, expensive, full of empty promises, and when things go wrong, you're left in the dust. You meet an agent, he promises you peace of mind. You pay your premiums, but when the disaster strikes, they respond with, "We regret to inform you that your claim cannot be processed due to clause 14B of subsection 9A as amended in 2011. You thought you were getting protection, but what you really bought was a monthly heartbreak subscription. The service has come to an end. Let the lecturing begin. Gracing your presence is Ephraim Kere from the Machaku School, standing firm to propose the motion that states that insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify insurance for the common mwananchi. You clearly say that we're supposed to trust these insurance firms. Well, your point was strong. It came with intentions of flying, but I clearly see that it forgot the wings, because you want us to trust insurance firms whose customer service agents leave you on scene like your last situationship and registration forms that look like they were written during colonial times. Well, on to my first point, an illiteracy gap widened by corporate jargon. Insurance in Kenya is like a rich Nairobi auntie with a British accent, complicated, condescending, and completely uninterested with being understood by the common mwananchi. When the insurance agent tells Mama Mboga about deductibles, exclusions, and waiting periods, what do you expect her to do? Open a dictionary or restock her stock? According to a Fin Access report in 2021, only 22.1% of Kenyan adults in urban areas understand what insurance is, and fewer understand how it actually works. In the rural areas, it drops to 12.6%. The Insurance Regulatory Authority found in 2023 that 38% of Kenyans believe that insurance is a scam or a Ponzi scheme because no one has ever sat them down and explained to them what it means. I mean, according to a research by FSD Kenya in 2022, 76% of uninsured Kenyans have never interacted with an insurance agent. Not one. How can you expect a mwananchi to trust something that they only hear about in funerals and hospital corridors? They're supposed to be taught, you want Guka and Shoshi Nyeri to get a health cover, but the agents use words like morbidity, risk assessment in a 15-page policy document in English in Times New Roman size font 9. I don't believe so. On to my second point, insurance penetration remains pathetically low. Let me ask you something. If insurance companies in Kenya are doing such a great job demystifying insurance, then why are people chasing harambes over getting education bills? According to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, Kenya's insurance penetration is stuck at 2.3% of the GDP as of 2023, the lowest in the continent. According to the World Bank report, in 2023, the global average is at 7.2%, South Africa 12.4%, and Rwanda, little Rwanda, is catching up at 4.1%. Our insurance industry has the energy and paid Wi-Fi connection, technically available but practically unreachable. According to a Fin Access report in 2021, urban insurance access in Kenya is at 43% and rural insurance access at 11% because of people who deem it as witchcraft, as paperwork, and prefer praying than falling sick. Well, don't get me wrong, prayer is good, but it isn't a policy. I rest my case.
We started this sermon with a prayer, and here comes the doctor to fix the disorder. And the usual disorder is PTCD, which stands for post-traumatic case disorder. Now, their first speaker comes here and states that they support and they believe that these insurance companies have failed. And he comes further to say that there's demystification, which is pretty much complex language by these insurance companies. And he further states on people in the location of Turkana, people that have not had access to these facilities. So my question is your problem demystification, or is your problem outreach to the people? This is basically what we stand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I came here and I'm a firm believer of Machakos' case, but I believe they need to ensure their case before their case falls before this podium, because the minute they stood here, they destroyed everything.
Now, this is what we give you as side opposition. Now, the first thing we give you is complex socio-economic barriers where many Kenyans face poverty. That is the major problem too. Cultural beliefs and mistrust. Now, as we spoke about, I'm going to emphasize on mentality. Now, a Kenyan out here is standing out there asking himself, why should I pay for life insurance if I know I'm not going to die? Why a lady out there, she drives her car, she says, why should I put insurance on my car if I believe I'm Vin Diesel? I believe everyone believes they're good drivers. But the thing is, we need to be safe. It's better safe than sorry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we bring to you as side opposition. Again, we bring you more infrastructure and access because we believe demystification is not the thing. If they spoke about Turkana, we believe that if we educate these people in Turkana about insurance, these people will understand how insurance works. This is what we actually bring to the table. Now, again, they came and told us that there have been a lot of payouts. There have been no payouts based on a lot of premiums paid. They failed to back this on stats. They failed to show us where they get this proof. They just come here with magadosha and magadosha of information that they picked from their next door neighbors, their classmates. This is all false information. Now, ladies and gentlemen, according to the World Economic Forum, there's been 75% improvement in insurance development after outreach to the people living in these vulnerable societies. So one, our target is vulnerable societies. Number two, our target is vulnerable societies. Number three, our target is to destroy Machakos case. And I believe we would have improved insurance development. Now, what we get is that, again, let me look at ignorance. It shows that 20%, according to the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, that Kenyans have been ignorant towards insurance. These people do not want to sit down and look, there are difficult terms, I need to understand. Someone says, okay, fine, I don't believe they're difficult. It's just that I don't have the time. A boda rider wakes up every morning, goes to work. He doesn't want to insure his motorbike because one, it's not that the terms are hard, he just lacks the time. And when his motorbike gets into an accident, we tell you, did you get Bima Bora with KDIC? Did you insure your motorbike? He says, I did not know anything like that. So ladies and gentlemen, is it ignorance we are facing? Is it demystification we are facing? Or is it outreach to the people? Now, ladies and gentlemen, as they said, prayer is key, but it's not a policy. But as the doctor, I will tell you, health is important. Health is a policy. And if we start with their health, if we start with the health of our insurance, ladies and gentlemen, we would have achieved our sustainable development goals as Kenya. And with that, I do believe, as the doctor, we meet in time of prescription. Thank you.
Before I begin, let's say a silent prayer. Not for my speech, but for the poor Kenyans out there trying to understand an insurance policy thicker than the Bible and twice as confusing. Today I'm here to talk about a relationship more disappointing than a high school situationship. The relationship between Kenyan insurance firms and the common mwananchi. Now to my esteemed judges, my beloved audience, and my teammates, you can call me Emmanuel Mwangi, but to the opposition side, refer to me as Ngumi. Emmanuel Mwangi, demolisher of your debate hopes and dreams, aka the real life big show, hailing from the great Machakos school. Now, to the first speaker, you say that you're a bishop, but you're preaching water and drinking wine. I mean, today is on Sunday, and yet rapture hasn't happened. Sound familiar? Now, you said that insurance company are widespread. They are demystifying insurance in Kenya for the common mwananchi, but Kenya's insurance penetration rate stands at 2.3%. That is below the 7% average in the world. Now, kindly read the motion again. The main issue is demystifying insurance in Kenya for the common mwananchi. This means people in all regions. Now, let me go to my first point. No community-centered insurance education. Let me pose this question. Why is it when a border crashes, their first call is not to an insurance company, but to a friend with M-Pesa? This is because insurance companies have not failed to advertise. They have failed to educate. According to FSD Kenya 2023, 74% of Kenyans don't understand how insurance works. Only 11% report receiving any form of insurance education. And according to the IRA 2022 report, insurance uptake outside urban areas remains below percent. The local mwananchi, the boda guy, construction workers, matatu drivers, or even a comrade may not fully understand what insurance if all the information is posted on billboards with models holding umbrellas as if they're in a Rihanna's music video. Insurance companies companies fail to incorporate teaching on insurance through barazas, local seminars, after-service church meetings that will get to the high-profile members of community, and they also get to Brayo, the local smoker selling guy around the block. It is ironical that 80% of Kenya's workforce is in the informal sector. That is 16.7 million people to be exact, according to KNB 2023-24, yet only 3% are covered by insurance products. Now, let's look at Africa's penetration rate. It stands at 11.54%. That is low. Now, let's go to Netherlands, a developed country. It is also lagging behind with 8.1% penetration rate. This just proves that insurance companies in Kenya, penetration rate lies at 2.3%. This just proves that insurance companies are trying to sell insurance to people speaking Kiswahili, but their policy is in Queen's English with thee, thou, copay cabs. Well, congratulations, you're not selling security, you're selling stress. So please, let us join the proposition side for your protection. Thank you.
Now, panel, I only have 3 words to describe my mood for this debate, and I am disappointed. Disappointed in the fact that even after my first speaker giving a clear clarification of what insurance is, and the mindset of the people is what is making insurance not to be moved around in the country, but still opposition still shakes their head in the negative. Because get this, the first speaker comes in and talks about how insurance is like algebra in Form 3 and you don't understand. But as a common mwananchi, after teaching algebra as a teacher, I get to ask you, do you understand? And what is your reply? Yes, we understand. But ladies and gentlemen, remember, if I get to give a clear feedback to the teacher that I don't really understand what algebra is, I will get to take you to a step-by-step verification of what algebra is to ensure that you understand. Now get this, according to the health policy plan, although 63% of NHIF clients in Western Kenya were aware of NHIF, only 32% understood its benefits package and nearly 93% were unaware of feedback or complaint challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, KDIC and all of these platforms are promoting insurance. They all have feedback platforms to ensure that if you don't understand anything, go to our channel, tell us what you don't understand, and we will get back to you in a few minutes. That is the mindset that we're talking about, people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my first speaker talked about how these people don't take insurance because they think that they own the roads they own the roads of Kenya. Even Paul Walker himself knew that he was the best driver in the world and he didn't take insurance. What happened to him? He died in a road accident without an insurance. Now that is an example of a mindset. 2, they talked about how insurance is like a love life in Nairobi and how your love person will not negotiate with you after living with him or her or things like that. But this is what insurance covers. When you get insurance, the insurance will give you another girlfriend if this girlfriend fails to give you love. Now that is what we're talking about as team opposition. 3, they talked about no one has ever sat the people from the village down to teach them about financial literacy or insurance. But ladies and gentlemen, they talk about the marginalized communities. Now let me take you back to this same debate circle where we have mjadala debates going on right now. Now, if a village person doesn't understand English, we have Kiswahili to ensure that he gets enough knowledge about insurance from NCBA, from Old Mutual, and from KDIC. That is what you're talking about as a mindset of the people. And according to Insurance Regulatory Authority, through Bima Maisha, the ARA, with the Ministry of Education and KICD has embedded insurance education in secondary schools using radio dramas and TV programs. Now, this has led to a decrease in the lack of understanding from 40.9% in 2016 to 14.3% in 2021. This is showing that, yes, these insurance companies are taking charge in the insurance sector in the world. They are trying to promote insurance to our world. And what is the people doing? The people are only neglecting it, saying that, oh, there is bad karma insurance. Let me put money below my bed. But what offers security to your money? Is it insurance or is it your bed? It is insurance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I turn to team proposition and ask them again. If you do not want insurance in the world, then what do you prefer? The farmer has been my name. Protein of unsubstantial weed-like points brought forth by my opponents is the game, and I'm really disappointed I go to meet the great Machakos, but the only thing they said today are their names, and I rest my case.
Well, I came in as a patient, but left immediately because you might make me get more cavities, because the level at which you're sugarcoating things is seriously worrying. We're not here to speak about policies, premiums, or paperwork. We're here to speak about Wanjiku, Kiarie, Mutiso, Mamamboga. Insurance companies have one job: to educate and protect. But they choose profits over people, suits over stalls, policies, not the same people they're supposed to serve. They build towers in Upper Hill while leaving information gaps in Mathare. I came as a congregant, but the preacher attempts to rewrite the Bible. You mentioned that they've demystified insurance to bring about of campaigns in Nyeri, Kiambu, Turkana. You name it. The argument came in like a lion but left like a confused house cat. Because if this is so, where are the numbers? Where is the trust? Where is the risk? Where is the industrial insurance penetration? They're selling dreams in boardrooms where Kenyans are struck crowdfunding for coffins. Then this is not demystification. This is dereliction. This is distance. This is disconnect. It is not only failure to fail to demystify. This is betrayal with a business license. The insurance is not out to protect the people, but their reputation. They say insurance is a peace of mind, but in Kenya, it's just pieces of paper in a broken heart that define your stance between life and death. With that, I leave you to judge yourselves. I rest my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, we brought you the pastor to pray for your case. You refused to listen. We brought you the farmer to feed you with information. You refused to listen. You claimed you're a patient to come in. I cannot leave you with cavities. I come with painkillers to help you with the pain. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we bring you aside opposition. 1, we bring you mentality as a problem. 2, we bring you ignorance as a problem. 3, we give you stats to defend our case. 4, we give you outline and how we reach out to the marginalized society. 5, we give you insurance of deposit and insurance companies. 6, we show you how we promote sustainable development goals. These guys come in here with the case of a boda rider. When he gets into an accident, the first person he reaches out is M-Pesa. Why? Mentality. 2, my question to you, when you lose your case, why don't you run to your patron but run to the toilet? It is because of ignorance, instead of learning how to defend your case next time. As usual, I believe we have solidified our case. And as usual, as the doctor, I have to live with the prescription. Now, they came and talked about algebra, and I will tell them x plus x is equals to 2x. And if you have 2x times 3, it means that if the both of you do research a day, you will be great debaters one day. And as usual, if we meet again, Machakos, you retaliate. Thank you.
Okay, this was an above average debate, so I'm very happy with both teams on stage, and just the idea of being in the quarters already shows that you're all great speakers, so this is not what this feedback is about. I think in terms of conviction and presentation, you still have that, so I'll just go to the meat of the motion. So insurance companies in Kenya have failed to demystify insurance for the common mwananchi. The key words in the terminology in the motion are going to help you get more points and even more impact. For example, the idea of the common mwananchi I'm getting from the entire proposing team, I feel like if you actively analyze how the common mwananchi operates, it will give you better points. For example, common mwananchi is probably active on social media. Has the insurance company probably used this as an avenue to educate people? Because if you say it's about bringing people out of their homes and taking them to community centers, I don't think you mechanize any incentives why these people will probably get out of their homes to come and be taught insurance. So if you know what the common mwananchi looks like, try and say if insurance companies are demystifying it in that angle. So if I look at Ian from Team Proposition, you spoke first. I love how you were able to define the terms and give us exactly how these contracts are not being understood. However, do a bit more framing on exactly what status quo is, because you're the first speaker. So you're supposed to bring the entire debate into light. Show us what Kenya looks like. What are the problems we're facing? Is it poverty? Is it lack of literacy in terms of finances? What is the incentive of the insurance company to even demystify these things? Are they going to make more profit if they demystify this insurance? Is it about people and all that? Just give us that kind of framing after your definition of terms. However, a very well done speech. I appreciate that from you. Same goes for William, who was the first speaker in Team Opposition, able to actively define all these things for us. Once again, if you understand what the common mwananchi does and how they operate, it helps you get more points. And I love how you brought the whole idea of the money mindset, uncertainty, YOLO narrative. That brings the debate to the common, the modern day. So I love that we're able to do that. And even then, your whole idea of industrial and regulatory initiatives existing across the country probably needed more analysis. Give us examples of these exact regulatory initiatives. What what are these exact insurance companies doing besides just educating people, for example, in the debate circle, because the common mwananchi isn't necessarily just a student. So what then happens to somebody who's not in school? How do they then get that kind of education? Both second speakers, I love that you were able to bring more points, but again, for both Ephraim and Luke, just more analysis. If you tell us, like from proposing side, that there's neglectful customer service, I like the analogy that probably you're not going to get as much help as possible, but statistics to prove that, is it a greater issue in the whole of Kenya, or is it just one or two customer service representatives that are bad? What is the issue that we're having? Just give us more analysis on that, and even the whole idea of ignorance from the people coming from side opposition. Is it that the people have actively decided to not be educated? Is it that they don't have this kind of access? Or is it that regardless of these factors, they just don't like insurance and they probably would just have those circles that you are talking about, but still, well done. Now, the third speakers from both teams, let me just begin with Emmanuel. The rebuttals. I like how you're giving us the whole idea of no community-centered insurance, the majority of mwananchis in the informal sector, and all those analysis from a global to a local perspective. However, if this is new matter, or if this is something that has not been discussed in the debate, I urge you to just stick to rebuttals, just stick to analyzing your case. I was expecting you to engage with the idea of the money mindset these guys bring to you, the idea of the reactive culture. These are the things I expect the third speaker to talk about, because you're actively rebutting it. This is symmetrical for the third speaker in team opposition, because even then, you tell us that feedback platforms exist. Again, new matter, probably your second or first speaker could have talked about that, to give you more time to engage with the idea that they are telling you there are complex contracts that these people do not understand, and that the rate of insurance penetration is not as high. So engage with those things from third speaker, because that then becomes a more effective and more engaging debate. However, great speakers, great attempt. I wish you both the best.
Ian, Judge Nina said a lot. I just need you to reduce your rate of reading. Same case to Ephraim, quite some reading as compared to the other team. Actually, here, folks, it's a battle of style and presentation, passion and conviction, coherency of argument. Because in terms of content, we feel you guys could have done more in terms of doing research and showing us that you did your research. So from Machakos School, reduce your rate of reading. However, I want to acknowledge Emmanuel. You actually came out as a savior of your team in your final submissions, powerful submissions. Emmanuel Ngumi. Now, opposition, it's important for you in terms of course, all the four criteria were very good, but then under content, you guys needed to give us examples of programs the insurance companies have had and their outreach levels to the local areas, and maybe raise an argument that even if this is not enough, but still there are things which are rolling. So that did not really come out so solidly. So it was kind of a draw in terms of content. So the spanner in the works is on the other four judging criteria. All the best.
A better round of applause to our judges table. Ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of our heated, thought-provoking debate on matters of insurance companies. But now the question is, who takes this debate home? Well, according to the judges' table, and oh my, was this close. Machaku School have been awarded with 63.43%. A round of applause to Machaku School. And Jamuhuri High School have been awarded with 64.66%, making Jamuhuri High School the winners of this debate. And for more of this content, you need to find us at the Debate Circle across all social media platforms, from X to Facebook to LinkedIn to Instagram and YouTube and many more. But until next time, it's bye-bye from us here at the Debate Circle. I have been your host for the day, Hamza Hussein.